cubicle wall, always feeling like you think you did right. Everyone else makes more money than you. You feel all the time like you're being abused. What you need is a new adventure, stories to inspire your new venture. Get your mind right, join the new. Don't
All right. Love the way that just transitions right in. That was not me. That's just the way this worked out. Welcome, everybody, to the live recording session for the How to Thrive in IT podcast, this different thing we're doing. So last week, we had this issue where I had my noise cancellation software on and it sounded awful. And so, what I'm hoping this week is that someone can pop in on the chat and let me know if everything sounds okay this week, especially when I get really loud and making sure that it doesn't interfere because I get fired up and just making sure that doesn't make for a distorted recording, that sort of thing. So I want to just make sure of that. So I'm going to listen to myself here. Especially when I get really loud. Yeah, you know what? Actually, that sounds okay. So I think we'll just go with it. I might have to change things up of how I'm doing this, so I don't lose an entire week's worth of recordings whenever things are not ideal. But in any case, I am actually getting some interference here. Hang on, just a second. Sorry. There we go. Best intentions and all that. All right. So what's going to happen today is we are going to, like I said, be live recording. You're going to be here. You can interact with me all you like. This is the kind of fun part about this. Now, I may not respond to you by name or anything like that. I might respond on the screen. The idea here is that we're making things easier on the podcast editing process. So once this actually goes live, you'll not be seeing that. That's the other thing that I wanted to talk about really quick and set myself up for later on is getting a lack of preparedness. It's real. It's a thing. So anyway, I wanted to mention that the podcast is technically live now in terms of the actual podcast itself, not these recordings. So there's going to be about a 1 to 2 week lag between when this is recorded and actually released. Might be more than that. Just getting going initially, we have a backlog of about I think 12 episodes that I'm working with an editor to kind of get finalized before they actually go out. But we have the first 2 up right now, and so that is live. And what I'm asking people to do initially is to search for How to Thrive in IT, the podcast, on your favorite platforms. And the reason why that I'm asking that is that kind of helps engage the search engine that you're looking for it. We've got a weird issue with like Spotify, for example, where the podcast is there, it's listed, you can subscribe to it, but for whatever reason, when you search for it, it's not showing up yet. And so yeah, that's the thing where I think that's the way to overcome that, but I'm not really sure. But I will be dropping a link here in a little bit as far as the podcast subscription. There's a like a page you can go to get all those links, and so we'll get to that here in just a few minutes here. In fact, I'm actually trying to log in the background here and get that going. So there we go. There's a whole page here. Let me. It's outside of my usual platform, and so I don't have a quick code for it yet. But let me add this to the in the title, the text up above here. I'll do that here in a second. Hang with me here, just a second. Let's see if this works. Cool. So you should be seeing a QR code right about here. If you're here with me live, I'm just going to leave that up on the screen and let you subscribe to that, or just look at that page. And what you should be seeing is let's go incognito on this, otherwise it's going to not work. Incognito mode. There we go. What you should be seeing, if I can share my screen here. It looks something like this. That's the podcast. And so if you click on subscribe, what it'll do is bring up all the different links that it knows about so far. Um, so I'm working on adding more to this, just FYI, or you can just add it into your own feed viewer if it's not listed here by getting the code right here. But so you can do that. But anyway, that's live. So here we go. Let's get some recording done for this today and go from there, shall we? If I can stop that. There we go. All right, so let's dive into this. Welcome, everyone, to How to Thrive in IT. Good to be back with you. We're filling in the gaps today. There's a couple of things that we've been talking about as our core tenets here at Thrive IT, and one of those core tenets is mastery. So we're going to be talking about today kind of more along the lines of tech mastery and how to pursue that and invest in yourself more, kind of in following a theme of investing in yourself. And so we're going to be talking about that aspect of things today. So remember, there are 4 core tenets to Thrive IT. And that is, of course, like I said, mastery, tech mastery. It's very important. We have mindset, which we've talked about. We have a methodology, which I talk about all the time. It's kind of a thing I write about. And then we have mentoring. And that's where the sense of community and investing in each other comes in. And we're going to be talking about that soon as well. And so, yeah, so let's dive into the whole aspect of tech mastery. And so there's a couple different ways we're going to be talking about this today. I'm going to go through just a kind of a high level overview of what I call success paths. And these are kind of a way to think about your tech career in terms of which way you're going. That way you can kind of determine what things you need to master as a result of that. And so I will sometime in the near future, who knows, maybe by the time you're listening to this, have a mechanism in place for people to determine their kind of, ideal or most likely course for this sort of thing coming up. So the idea here is that we have a couple of different how do I describe this? Now that I'm jumping into this, I'm like, oh, wait, how do I actually do this? So there are basically a couple different areas of focus here. One is determining what kind of worker you want to be. That sounds kind of odd to say that, but determining what works best for you in terms of, do you want to be an employee of somebody? Do you want to be a contractor with someone? Do you want to be independent? Those are the typical top 3. I think there's probably some other nuances within that. But basically what that means is, as an employee, obviously you are someone who works within that corporate structure. You get in the United States, we'll often say you're a W-2, or you're getting a regular paycheck, that sort of thing. And then as a contractor, you might be somebody who in the United States will say is a 1099, because the IRS, you'll get a 1099 form and you're responsible for your own taxes and things like that. So you're not an actual employee. You're self-employed at that point. But you might be working for someone else. And so even though you are doing your own thing, you are contracting your work. You don't have a full-time employment necessarily. You are setting a start and stop time that's defined. And so you are a contractor. And then you have others that are just fully independent. These are your business owners. These are the people that may do a combination like I've done in my life, where you have times where you are working with another company, and then you maintain your own role of clients or your own thing. And so my pathway is that of the independent, but it didn't start that way. I kind of rolled through different iterations to figure out what worked best for me. And that's the message I want you to get first with this, is that there is no one path that is best for everyone. And so that is a big thing with that. And so let me describe the other parts of this, and then we'll get into the the gist of it here. And so what I see in terms of this, if you can think of it in terms of like a highway, you'll have different lanes that you're in, and some of those are, I don't know if the lanes work as far as like speed to getting there, but I will say that there are often some things that happen with that in terms of level of income you can make with each of those things. That there are differences, and because they provide different levels of value. And so, in terms of the first one, this is kind of what I call the M, or the maintainer or manage. This is where you might be an admin, and you might move your way up to management, but your skill set is in maintaining what is a status quo, that sort of thing. And so, in terms of tech mastery, what we're going to be talking about, that might look like getting really good at identifying various aspects of technology, and just being very much able to identify how it should be working based on prior results, and your mindset is towards maintaining that. The second one we're talking about is the B level, which is the builder. These are your engineers, your change agents. They're the ones that take what I just said about knowing the way it should work and shift it right on its head. They're the ones that deploy new things, figure out ways to make things work, figure out ways to make things better. There's a lot of things where people are like programmers, or they are working with some of the emerging AI technologies that are very disruptive. Well, I would put these in the builder category, and so that might be where you're at. There's others that are more of the architects. These are planners. These are designers. These are people that take a business need and say, this is the result we need to get. Now, they may or may not know how to achieve that result. That's not the important thing here. With an architect, they are somebody who's saying, this is where we're going to start. This is our core design. And if you follow my methodology, you're smart enough to know that that's not always perfect. And sometimes you have to, start to iterate and then go back and change your plan instead of just trudging forward. But that's another story altogether, isn't it? The other thing, the P lane, is your planner. And these are your project managers, your project coordinators. A planner is someone who looks in terms of resources and what needs to happen when, and is very much these, what I call the kings and queens of follow-ups. These are the people that are really good at making sure that everyone's on the same page and things like that. So they're the coordinators. So that's a planner. There's different levels of mastery with that. And then you have people that are in roles like sales, and that are really based on making sure that everything's understood. In the very first part of my methodology is understand, right? And so these are the people that really live in that world almost full time, where they are really good at interpreting, okay, if person says they have this challenge, what do I do to get behind that challenge? What's behind that? And how do I excel at that? And that's something that they develop in their mastery. And so then within that, you'll have various archetypes that are within that. And I don't know if I'm going to talk about much about these today, but we'll get to them. Just to let you know, the archetypes are think of these as the vehicle that you're on the road with. And that is the L type is a leader. The T type is a teacher. An O type is an owner, usually like a business owner kind of thing. And then you have a type, which I call an advisor. A W type, which is a worker. That's someone that just does the thing. P is a provider or a solution provider, which is often associated with an advisor. I is an influencer or advocate. And C is just a straight consultant. And that means that somebody who is making it their world to find a need and advise on how that's done. I know in my world, there's been a lot of confusion about what a consultant is. And there's a lot of consultant being a engineer for hire. And that's not actually what a consultant actually is in terms of the traditional ideas here. So those are various lanes we can go. So why did I bring that up? because in this episode, we're going to be talking about how to have a mastery of these and kind of which directions to focus in on. And we'll do that after we talk about today's episode sponsor, which is actually me. One of the things that I'm doing right now is giving people a let's call it a roadmap of being able to connect with me and looking at these various lanes and looking at these various career paths and determining where your best fit is. And for the time being, I'm doing this as a general thing for people. And I'm doing that to my benefit is that I get some better notions about where people are at and how I can adjust what I'm offering for that. The other thing that you're getting out of this is a time where you are able to spend time with me, get initial ideas. It's a 30-minute call, so it's not like super intense, but you'll get an idea of next steps, get an idea about what kind of things you should be working on next. And that's really the goal with this call is to have both of us focused on what's next. And so you can have that consultation. It's something I provide free for the time being, even though I was pointed out to me today that that's like a $200 value. It's not a small thing. So will I be able to do this forever? I don't know. I would hope so, but that's not always realistic. But regardless, because you're a listener, I'm going to give this gift to you today. All you have to do is go to thrive-it.com/PCNS30. thrive-it.com/PCNS30. Let's discuss your next steps together. All right. So, in terms of mastery, this is a varied thing. What I want to do today is focus in on probably two, perhaps three of our various lanes here. And so I think what tends to happen typically is people enter IT as either a help desk administrator kind of thing. Sometimes they will go straight into product development in terms of coding. That's more rare. A lot of times you'll be part of some sort of a like a debugging kind of a process where you are not necessarily the one maintaining it or building it even, but it is something where you are kind of learning about it proactively. Is the way I would describe that. You are a person that is in for example, in the space that I'm most known for, end user computing. This tends to be someone who is a build up to be a subject matter expert. And that's where we need to talk about mastery. That's the concept of how do we get from point A to point B. And let's say that point A is you're starting at a help desk level, and point B, in this case, is you're being promoted to a subject matter expert or being called on to be a subject matter expert. What does that look like? And really what it comes down to is maybe more simple than we think. And really it is just being known for something, being known for knowing something. And that can be, and this is why this is so difficult to really truly talk about, because this is a coaching conundrum, I guess you could say, where guiding people towards their ideal path is often very difficult, especially when they're first getting started, because really my advice is typically to get more experience, try other things, see what resonates with you personally. Because let me fast forward a little bit here. Let's say that you are someone who is on a service desk and you're seeing in the future somebody who is in a position like, well, even like myself or others that are in the tech world that are more of they're known for it. They're the people that are they write blogs, they speak at events, they do these things that I would call that influencer track or that advocate track. And the thing to realize is that how they got there was not by accident. Well, maybe sometimes it was by accident in terms of reality, but what actually happened is that they were so attracted to a technology that they started to learn all they could about that and really focused in on that and let other things go. And that is the first. Well, is it the first? I don't think it's the first. That is a core thing I want you to learn about mastery is that it implies, and if you have a piece of paper where you can write this down, this is absolutely critical as a key point. And that is that mastery implies that you are willing to not be a master of other things. You are known for a specific thing and not for others. In other words, if you want to be the person who just knows everything about everything, it's not going to happen. The smartest people that I know do not know everything about everything by any kind of a stretch. And I realized this, I would say in 2016, 2017. And I'm I'm not trying to badmouth anybody. This is just the experience that I had, okay? And this is that I was at a one of Alex's E2 EVC events in Miami, Orlando, something like that. Orlando, I think. And there was a panel of the Citrix technology professionals, and they were saying all these things and talking about this stuff. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. They're absolutely, this guy's wrong, like dead wrong about this thing he's talking about. And it just happened to be a nuance of a Citrix technology called provisioning services. And I was like dumbfounded. I was like, how can you not know this? And it turns out that that wasn't uncommon, that the people knew way more than I did about certain aspects of the technology, but they didn't know about the things that I knew about. And that was a good reminder to me, or just kind of a discovery for me, I guess you could say at the time, that what it really came down to was being known for something. And the consulting work that I was doing became niched, where they wanted a specific expert to lead a specific project, and they started calling out things like that. And so instead of being a generalist, they wanted people that were specialists to lead a project. Now, there were sometimes other people that were on those projects that were not necessarily experts, but they were looking for that mastery level to be a leader. And that is really pretty critical. So what you need to do is identify the things that you want to focus in on, but also the things that you do not want to focus in on. If you want to be an expert in, or if what really kind of lights you up is, doing things with, I was having a conversation, one of these calls that I put out there with someone last week about, looking at his thing was SQL, right? And databases and things like Power BI and things like that were emerging in that. And that was the thing. Now, do I think that he should ever be, looking at any expertise in Active Directory or storage or things like that, even though they're technologies that they need to be aware of? That's not something to be a master in. Is if you dilute your what you're known for with that, then people will be confused and they will just be less likely to recommend you and put you up in front of when they have that specific need. So there is a mindset here, and we should probably talk about at some point here about abundance versus scarcity. We should put that on my list. In fact, maybe I'll just make a note of that to be talking about that sometime very, very soon. I'm literally writing it down right now. As a mindset problem. But right now we're talking about mastery. So I want you to just assume that we're going to address that part of the problem with that. But really, in terms of what to focus in on, I can't tell you what to focus in on with the tech. All I can say to you is that if you want to advance into various other things, it's important to be interested. and to be exclusively interested for the most part. Now, I do need to caveat that there are a lot of technologies out there that require you to be dynamic in that way, and that's okay. We're living in a world now where the standards are not really necessarily standards, are they? The things we need to learn are not necessarily going to be standing at the standing up to the torment of time, I guess you could say. And really, what it comes down to is learning how to learn. And that's where mastery really comes in, of saying it's not just about learning how the technology works. It's learning how to learn how the technology works. That seems confusing to some people I know, but really the best advice that I got in college was a psychology professor that said, I don't need you to memorize everything. I need you to know how to find the answers. And so he was one of those open book professors, and his exams were nothing short of brutal, y'all. They were top notch. There was no such thing as an easy answer. We're talking about one of those where it's just like write an essay based on this prompt, and that is your exam. So it's not a matter of like memorization of answers. So by all means, whatever resources you want to bring to the table, as long as you are giving the proper thoughts about this. Now that world is becoming interesting, I'm sure, with the advent of generative AI, but nonetheless, that is the concept, right? Is being able to find the answers and you need them and do it that way. There's an argument that can be made that even with generative AI, that's just a tool, a means to an end. But we won't get into that today. I think that's another episode we'll be going through, I'm sure. So that is a big piece of that. But the point here is that we really want to be in a place where we are able to know how to get new information and do so in a way that furthers our appearance of knowledge. It sounds weird to say that. I don't want you to fake it. That's not what I'm after here. What I'm after is a sense of ownership. I want you to be people that are not, well, let me say that a different way. What I like about the friends that I have is that they are people that are humble, but are, in my mind, way more intelligent than me. I like surrounding myself with people that are challenging in that regards. And really that's kind of my desire for you, is to be a person that is willing to challenge yourself to that level of knowing something so well that you can talk about it at a moment's notice. But at the same time, you are not presenting yourself with a false sense of knowledge. You are just confident because you have that level of ownership. If I ask, again, to go back to our previous example, if I say, hey, look, database question, I don't know how this works, because I don't, it's honest. And he gives me an answer, I'm confident in that because there's an era of, oh, I've been doing this for 25 years or whatever it is, and there's these kind of things that just come out of that. There's been time, there's been practice, there's been learning, there's been adventures, there's been mishaps, there's been victories. That's all happened to further that level of mastery in that one thing. If I ask that same person how server virtualization works, they might have a general concept of it, but they're not going to be able to tell me intricacies of how the kernel mode works with KVM and all these kind of things. That, wow, I just went way deep, didn't I? But that's what I'm talking about, is like, you don't want to be faking it until you make it necessarily. You want to be exploring it until you make it. Which, there's some similarities there, I will admit. That's not always as cut and dry. So, but in any case, let's take a quick break and look at our resource of the week, which is our YouTube channel. If you go to thrive-it.com/subme, that will immediately take you to a place where you can be subscribed to our YouTube channel and see more content that you get just in this podcast there. This is something that's being developed, obviously, for some new content that's coming out. But I will say that we have about 4 years worth of content of interviews, quick thoughts, even some experiments with shorts that have been kind of fun to do quick little encouragements through your day. So I do encourage you to subscribe and click that little bell icon so you're notified of when new content goes up online. It's very valuable for that, but it also helps us out. We're doing a lot of things with sponsors down the road and things like that, where if you are a subscriber, that helps us show that we have an audience that is responsive and things like that. But ultimately, that's not the most important thing, but it is very helpful. So I'm encouraging you to use that as a resource and to subscribe so that we can actually demonstrate that maybe we know a little bit of what we're talking about. Is YouTube our area of mastery? No, but that's okay. That level is hard to get to, but we'll work on that. That is a good example of one of the things we're talking about, though, is finding someone who does have that as mastery. And so that is something that the more subscribers we have, the better talent we can bring on board to be better at that. And so it's one of those things that it builds on itself. And so as we improve, then we're able to grab more subscribers and improve even more. It builds because I can actually now afford to pay for the mastery that I need to make YouTube a great thing. So, like that little meta moment there, that was pretty tight. Indeed here. So the pieces I want to talk about, just to kind of go through the final little bits of today's time together, is that I don't want to say it doesn't matter what level you go to, because I believe that there are levels of success within each path we go down. And this can be a lot of different things. And the way this looks is changing, so don't take this as definitive. But what I've been seeing is a general pathway for people that are in these various success lanes, and they come with whatever you're willing to master. So let me give you an example. You will have some people that are in that M lane, that maintainer or manage lane, and they may start off just administering a help desk. They may start administering a technology, but they're not drawn towards mastery of the technology. They're drawn to more of a management role in general. That may look like leadership, like a team lead kind of a thing. You see this in that progression all the time, where you have various people that are doing the work, the workers, and they're very happy with that and excelling at that. But you often see those that want to either lead or take that kind of sense of ownership about a project or what I'm trying to say here, of looking at the brain just left me here. But basically, they're not necessarily always a manager. Sometimes they are someone who is like a project coordinator, can come out of that. It really depends on which direction you want to go with it. But I will tell you that over the years, the managers that I've worked under, like the IT managers, even some IT directors and things like that, did not come up through the engineering side of the house. A lot of them came up through the service desk. And I don't think that's by accident, frankly. I think there's a lot of folks out there that realize that they are very skilled at looking at things from the high level and being able to coordinate people and move around resources in some cases. You have people that are in today's world, in the cloud world, that are just naturally good at identifying, what resources should be there, and when we're spending too much, when we're spending too little. They're really really good at that, and so they have a kind of, they're the people you see that have like multiple monitors. You can't see where I'm recording this, but you can, if you can picture, there are four monitors here. They're the people that'll have like multiple monitors up with multiple monitoring programs and chat programs and email, and they're multitasking in that way. Which maybe sometime we'll talk about why multitasking is a myth, but they are interested in that monitoring relationship, and they're good at that, and that is their level of mastery. It is involved in being responsive to that and that sort of thing. And that is a very valuable thing right now. Actually, I would say, ironically, there are people that are in today's service desks that if they can master that, if they can master things like what monitoring really looks like and how to use things like dashboards and AI, and well, I mentioned Power BI, for example, things like that, to really truly get a picture of what's going on and respond to that by moving around either human resources or physical resources or cloud resources, whatever that looks like, even financial resources. Those are the people that are very sought after in companies right now. And so, ironically, sometimes it's not about knowing the tech that can get you into a good role. It is just learning what works for you. And if your mind is naturally goes towards things like that, there are some amazing opportunities for you right now. Same thing with the builder track. This is where I'm seeing a huge level of growth, but it's not necessarily general growth. There are, and this is where it gets a little scary, and I want to walk through this just for a moment, and that is an element of mastery. An element of mastery that includes the fact that sometimes the technology goes away. I don't know how to, the polite way to say this. We work in a field that things change constantly. I will tell you personally that I gave up quite some time ago on teaching technology because it was a constant uphill battle. You know, I was better off just staying with my consulting work than I was with that. Now, I realized eventually that I can do things like this that teach you the general methodology of something, or looking at it as a whole instead of just the one niche little thing. But that is a reality, is that the technologies can betray you in that regards. So learning how is critical with this, but it needs to be addressed in terms of, especially within that B track, that builder track, because if you're putting everything behind, building out specific things, and that specific thing becomes out of favor, you can be facing some interesting things. Now, am I saying that if you learned COBOL back in the day that you are doomed? You may not be in demand, but you're certainly not doomed. There are some realities to having a level of mastery when the technology goes away, because the technology doesn't ever fully go away, does it? And so I know people that are experts in COBOL, for example, that are, they can retire anytime they want. Let's put it that way. They have plenty of income coming in because they have, what is that again? Mastery. That's right. They have something that they're known for, and people find them and people need them desperately because the technology is no longer in vogue. It's not something that people are being taught. There's no fresh blood in that, right? So that means that as that gets more and more scarce, that becomes more and more of a potential value for you. Now, does it make it easy? No. Does it make you something where the E and C tracks are there for you? The employee and contractor tracks are there for you? No, probably not. You're going to probably have to be an independent business owner at that point. I mean, just being honest. So if that's something that is not ever appealing to you, that you would never want to own your own business, then maybe latching yourself to a technology that could be replaceable may not be the best option. But learning how it all works together and learning how things flow, that is always a good option. So you also have these areas of when you're a builder type, when you're that engineer. This is where I'm seeing the most common career progressions into team leadership, which, as you may or may not know, this is a very much a focus for me right now, is focusing in on equipping the team leader. Because what I'm seeing out in the marketplace right now is that there's plenty of mastery of a technology, but now they're being asked to do other things that they've not really ever had to encounter. And so what I'm trying to put forward is a way to make that workable to where you can do what you need to do, be knowledgeable enough, but also properly lead a team in that sort of thing. And so you know what's happening, you know what needs to happen, but you also know your boundaries. You know when to let other people coordinate the staff, and here just making recommendations for that. There's all sorts of things that go into this, but also largely it becomes down to communication. And this is actually the area where I've seen the probably some of the worst um, areas for improvement is in communications, specifically among the team and with management. And so, yeah, so we can talk about that another time. I think I don't want to go too long today, so we'll get to that. But that becomes a level of mastery that you either need to choose to be known for or not. And so, what I'm encouraging, if you're in a position of team leadership, you need to decide what aspect of that is attractive to you. Is it being known for the technology, or is it leading a team? Because I hate to say it this way, but if you don't focus on one or the other, then you're going to be stuck for quite some time. I've talked to people that have been a team leader for a long time, for 10 plus years. Their career stalled because they didn't really understand that they need to either be better at the technology, so they move up from there, or they're better as a leader, so they move up from there. So that becomes kind of those archetypes that I'm talking about, where you need to either lead, follow, or get out the way. It's not really that. It's you lead, you teach, you advise, you do the work, or you become an influencer. Is the normal pathways for that. Those are the archetypes that exist within the engineering builder path. There are exceptions, obviously, but those are the things that where you need to figure out what level of mastery you're going to be known for. Like, let me give you an example in my life. Again, going back to the end user computing, the Citrix thing. Am I known for Citrix? Probably. It happens when you do things like write a book and do all the kind of things, And so I still do things with that, and so I had a sense of ownership there. But I also became an influencer in that regards, in that saying that I'm putting out content that is showing how it's done, that sort of thing, or influencing how it's done, or influencing those to be pursuing that. And so, but there's also a level of that T level where I'm a teacher. And I think that's a big piece of me. That's why I do this podcast, for example, is I have the heart of a teacher. I want to see people better than I found them. And so I will try to equip them that way. But you have to kind of figure out which way you're going to go with that, which way you're going to invest in. And ultimately in my life, this is where I still see myself a bit of as a consultant. And that has been consistently where I've invested the most. And that when I do coaching, what I'm really doing is consulting in my mind. There are elements of teaching, and there are elements of leadership as far as being a guide, but ultimately I'm a consultant. And so that's where I latch those two together very, very frequently for that reason. But ultimately you have to decide where you're going with that. So if I'm going into coaching, for example, what does that mean? Well, I stop doing other things. Again, mastery is deciding that you want to do one thing and not do others. And so when it comes to coaching, I have to do less of things like team leadership. I have to do less of things like working in the technology. I have to do less of things like teaching the technology. Does it mean I abandon those things completely? No, not at all. And that's, I think, a thing that I think most team leaders need to recognize is that, just because you stop doing all of the work and let other people do some of the work that you need to be doing, that you're doing today because you're the best at it or whatever, they need to grow. And that's a big piece of that. So you need to create a gap. I've literally done it at companies and told them I was going to do it. I was like, okay, I know that I am the person who knows the most about this, and this is really bad with salespeople, by the way. They were always wanting me to be on their sales calls because I was always the one that was most knowledgeable about what they're trying to sell. And I would say no, because I want you to start relying on other people so that they can learn how to do this and I can guide them. And so that became me doing less of less of being the worker in that regards. It's actually less of being the influencer in that regards, actually, truly, but that's okay. And so that is a very high level of what mastery kind of looks like. We're going to be, again, this is one of our core tenets. And so we'll have other aspects of that, but I kind of wanted to give you that kind of overview of how that works within that and how to be to be mindful of your career path in that regards and what things you want to invest in. And so that is that. So when it comes to methodology and how to just see how all these things work together in terms of the people that are in that understand mindset, the people that are either in sales or your architects, your planners, or the people that are doing the actual building work, they're change agents, they're engineers, or the people that are maintaining, like I talked a lot about today. These are the progression of a good project methodology. And that is what I teach in Just Do This, my book on IT careers, you could say. And this is just my guide to help you be successful. And I do have a rather special offer for you. And that is if you're willing to answer well one question for me. And that is, well, I'll tell you right now, that question is, when it comes to your career in IT right now, where are you most challenged? What things are what's your biggest problem you're facing? And I don't want you to think in just in terms of tech mastery now. I want you to, with the mindset of this episode, or sorry, with the being mindful of this episode, I should say, let's be specific. What kind of things are you most challenged with? What kind of things are the most, you find the biggest problems with? And so there's a link in the description that will take you to the current survey. And I don't give out the text of this in the audio because this will change from time to time, and I can go back and change the text, but I can't change the voice very easily without republishing, so I don't do that. So anyway, look for that in the description. You'll see a survey link that'll have the current link to this, but all you have to do is answer that one question, and your reward will be that you can just name your own price on the hardcover edition of Just Do This, A Simpler Way to Succeed in IT. And it's yours for the taking. I make no profit on this unless you want me to. If you're feeling like, GJ, you're doing such a great job, let me go ahead and just pay $200 for your book today. You can do that. You can totally do that. Or if you want to just say, you know what, I'm going through some hard times right now, but I'd really like to learn more from this. And yeah, whatever this looks like, you want to pay like $5 to cover the cost of printing and shipping. I think it's more like $10 these days, unfortunately. So I'm sorry about that. But if you want to just pay for what it takes to actually, make it exist in the world, that hardcover is yours at cost. That's fine. All you have to do is just answer that one question for me, and then we'll go from there. Yeah. Thanks everybody for being with me today. It was a pleasure to be with you and talk more about this mastery and kind of dive in deep with this. As always, if you have something that you want to know more about, feel free to engage with me. There are links in the description and whatnot to interact with us and me specifically. If you want to, like I said earlier in the call, you can just book a call with me. That is by going to thrive-it.com/PCNS30, and we'll look at your next steps. That's podcast next steps, 30-minute call. That's how I remember that. thrive-it.com/PCNS30, and we can talk more through that. So awesome to be with you. And let me ask a favor from you right now. If this was something that was helpful to you, can you help me spread the word? Would you be willing to go on social media right now and say, subscribe to the How to Thrive in IT podcast? Here's what I learned today. That's a very powerful way to share this with others. Obviously, I don't have an advertising budget for this really per se. I don't have a way to get it in front of people. So the best way to do that is for you to share it. And also to make sure the podcast platforms know that you're serious, and by subscribing on whichever platform you prefer to listen to this on. And so that helps us out greatly, more than you probably realize. That simple 30 seconds makes a huge difference for us. And so I encourage you to do that. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. All right. Wow. That's fun, huh? Oh my goodness. All right. So every week, I forgot to say this at the beginning. Hopefully, those that are still with me know this, but as kind of a bonus for watching this recording episode and all the awkwardness that is there by waiting by not waiting to hear it in the edited podcast version, you get a little reward, and that is that you get to help me choose what style of song we're going to do. We're gonna have Suno AI generate a song for us today, like we do each time we do these recordings. And so I'm going to start typing in a prompt here. Actually, let me share my tab here, and the audio. Yeah, good. All right, so we are going to start to do it that way. You don't need to see more of my face. You need to see more of the screen. So we're going to enter a prompt here about today's topic. And so we're going to say describe a song right about. I think they have a little problem there. It said they click right about, but it's not that. That's not there anymore. See, yeah, there it goes. Okay, so it changes. Mastery in the field of information technology. I know this is boring, but I'm just kind of typing and talking at the same time is always tough for me. So maintaining, building, designing, planning, or sales. Let's just keep it to that. And if I don't have a suggestion in front of me as far as a style of music in the next 30 seconds, then I am going to go ahead and choose one for us. between being a leader, teacher, advisor, worker, or influencer. Actually, just say or consultant. There we go. Acid. I'm just going to go with the suggestions down here. I'm like curious of nursery. Oh, that would be terrifying. Let's not do that. But I like the acid rock idea. Let's get some lyrics going here. This process generates lyrics based on that. I think. Yeah, look at that. All right, so. And again, it's AI, so it thinks everything about IT seems to be building code. Yeah. And I'm going to put in our catchphrase here. Don't just survive IT. It's time we thrive to thrive IT. Let's put that at the front of that chorus there. Shall we? We all excel. Oh, yeah. I don't know if I can do that. Yeah, I can't do that. All right, so let's see. The team to different tiers, teach the young, calm their fears. I like that. Advise on tech when times get tight. Work on your magic in the light. All right. I think, yeah, I have to actually. If I want the chorus to repeat, I actually have to go do that. Yeah. All right. But let's do this. Let's yeah, actually. I kind of like this. It's this build a bridge of code with care. I'm gonna say build a bridge, learn with care. How's that? We'll blow AI's mind here. Yeah, I like that. Maintain the systems throughout the night. Through the night. Video throughout. Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? It's something that matches. Well, that's why it's at Excel. Thrive it.com is how to excel. We'll use the Excel anyway. All right, here we go. Let's see. Pathways in IT. I think I like pathways to master IT. Let's put it that way. Yeah. All right, y'all. we go. This will take just a moment or so. We'll see what the theme for today's podcast is going to be. It's going to be so amusing to see the world's reactions to these, but let's go. Let's start with the first one here. Acid rock. I'm trying to think of, oh yeah, like I guess fish and things like that. We'll see.
Build a bridge, learn with care. Design a world in digital air. Plan a future with visions bright. Maintain the systems throughout the night. Lead a team to new frontiers. Teach the young and calm their fears. Advise on tech when times get tight. Work your magic in the light. Don't just survive, fight team. It's time to thrive, fight team. Choose your path in space. Be a guiding light in this tech craze. Whether you lead or teach yourself, thrive-it.com is how to excel. Influence with words and trends. Consult with insight, never ends. Build new worlds from 0-1 in IT. The journey's just begun. Plan the strategies of dreams. Maintain the network's endless streams. Teach the knowledge of your lore. Lead the ventures to explore. Don't just survive, fight team. It's time to thrive, fight team. Choose a path in its maze. Be a guiding light in this tech craze. Whether you lead or teach yourself, thrive-it.com is how to excel. And the strategies of dreams. Maintain the network's endless streams. Teach the knowledge of your lore. Lead the ventures to explore. Don't just survive, fight team. It's time to thrive, fight team. Choose a path in its maze. Be a guiding light in this tech craze. Whether you lead or teach yourself, thrive-it.com is how to excel.
Huh. That's pretty good. I have to admit, that's gonna be hard to top. I like that. All right, well, let's see what the second one is, and then we can decide which we like better.
Build a bridge, learn with care. Design a world in digital air. guiding light in this tech race. Whether you lead or teach yourself, 5-it.com is how to excel. To excel.
Of course, let's go.
Influence with words and trends. Consult with insight never ends. Build new worlds from 0-1. Inactive, the journey's just begun. Plan the strategies of dreams. Maintain the networks and the streams. Teach the knowledge of your lore. Lead the ventures to explore. Don't just survive IT. It's time to thrive IT. Choose your path in its maze. Be a guiding light in this tech race. Whether you lead or teach yourself, 5-it.com is how to excel. To excel. Influence with words and trends. Consult with insight never ends. Build new worlds from 0-1. In IT, the journey's just begun. Plan strategies of dreams. Maintain the networks and the streams. Teach the knowledge of your lore. Lead the ventures to explore. Don't just survive IT. It's time to thrive IT. Choose your path in its maze. Be a guiding light in this tech race. Whether you lead or teach yourself, 5-it.com is how to excel.
Well, all right. There you go. So I guess the question becomes, which one was your favorite? Was it the first one or the second one? You'll have to let me know in the comments, and then we'll decide. I kind of lean towards the first one. It just was more natural, I guess. The second one definitely had that almost Irish kind of flair to it, didn't it? So acid rock, that's a new one for me. I have not prompted this one to do acid rock before, so this is a new one for me. So let me know in the comments what you liked more. So thanks for being with me here this week. It was a pleasure as always, and look forward to sharing more with you down the road. We'll just keep doing these live for the time being. I think hopefully the audio worked out for this one. I need to go back and actually re-record last week's, which was a shame because I was on a roll. But I also realized for last week that it would make a better YouTube video. So I'm back and forth. What I might do is still do a podcast episode of the general themes and then point people towards the YouTube video where we actually do kind of that tier list of the various ways to invest in yourself and that sort of thing. And there was also some things that I left out. So I think re-recording that one is probably the best anyway. So if you were live with me last week, we will do the theme song, but we probably will have different content. And so, yeah, we'll have that. The IT investment blues will still be a thing, but indeed, this is a lot of fun. So let's see. I think I am going to just kind of lean towards the first one. Maybe I'll play both of these again. We'll see. Oh, hey. There it is. Sorry, my screen on the back end here is kind of being funky here. So let's go out with the Pathways to Master IT theme song for the episode. Unless otherwise voted, I think this first one's going to be my vote, but you can override me just by telling me in the comments what you think. So we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channels. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. We're on LinkedIn. Probably going to extend to Facebook. I think there was an issue this week for whatever reason. It doesn't seem like that went live. And then we're working on Instagram. I don't know if anybody's actually on Instagram if you work in IT, but hey, you never know. And so that sort of thing. And there may be some other platforms we look to expand to. So if there's something else you are listening or watching on that you would prefer, please do let me know, and we'll see how we can make that happen. But until next time, we'll see. I don't know what I don't have a topic chosen for next week yet, but I'll go ahead and make the event, and we'll see what happens. So I'll see you next week, hopefully for a live recording. If not, we'll catch you whenever. But been good to be with you, and I'll see you next week.
Build a bridge, learn with care. Design a world in digital air. Plan a future with visions bright. Maintain the systems throughout the night. Lead a team to new frontiers. Teach the young and calm their fears. Advise on tech when times get tight. Work your magic in the light. Don't just survive IT. It's time to thrive IT. Choose your path in space. Be a guiding light in this tech craze. Whether you lead or teach yourself, thrive-it.com is how to excel. Build a bridge, learn with care. Design a world in digital air. Plan the future with visions bright. Maintain the systems throughout the night. Lead a team to new frontiers. Teach the young and calm their fears. Advise on tech when times get tight. Work your magic in the light. Don't just survive IT. It's time to thrive IT. Choose your path in at its maze. Be a guiding light in this tech craze. Whether you lead or teach yourself, thrive-it.com is how to excel.